The bell above the diner door gave a tired metallic ring as it opened, a small sound that somehow carried across the entire room. It was late afternoon at the Interstate Travel Plaza, the kind of place built for truckers, families on long drives, and people who did not intend to stay long. Conversations were low and routine, forks scraping plates, coffee being poured endlessly into thick ceramic mugs. Then she stepped inside. She looked to be in her early 70s, though hardship had drawn deeper lines across her face than age alone could explain. Her coat was thin for the season. No gloves. No scarf. One hand gripped a faded handbag, the other trembled slightly as she steadied herself against the door. The change in atmosphere was subtle but immediate. Two men at the counter stopped talking mid-sentence. A young mother instinctively pulled her child closer. The waitress paused with a coffee pot hovering midair. No one said anything openly unkind, but discomfort spread quietly through the room. She moved slowly, as if each step required calculation. Behind the counter, the manager noticed the shift. He was a broad man in his 40s with the practiced expression of someone who dealt with problems quickly and without sentiment. He wiped his hands on a towel and approached her before she could sit. "Ma'am, are you waiting for someone?" Her voice, when she answered, was soft and careful.
No.
"I just need a place to sit for a moment." The manager hesitated. The diner was nearly full. Paying customers filled every booth. Before he could respond, something else changed. Under a booth near the far window, a large German shepherd lifted its head sharply. The dog had been lying calmly beside a young Navy SEAL in civilian clothes. The man sat upright, composed, observant in a way that suggested training rather than curiosity. A service dog vest rested securely across the animal's back. The shepherd did not growl. It simply watched the woman intensely. The SEAL followed the line of the dog's gaze. And for the first time since she entered, someone in the diner wasn't looking at her with suspicion. He was studying her.
Carefully.
The request. The manager shifted his weight, ready to end the situation politely but firmly. The woman seemed to sense it. Her eyes moved past him, not toward empty seats, but toward the German shepherd. "May I," she asked quietly, "sit near the dog?" The question startled everyone within earshot. The manager frowned. "That's not how this works, ma'am." But the Navy SEAL spoke before the refusal could land. "It's fine," he said evenly. His voice wasn't loud, yet it carried authority. "She can sit here." The room reacted in silence. The woman moved toward the booth slowly. As she approached, the German shepherd rose to its feet. Not aggressive, not tense, simply alert. Up close, the SEAL could see more than frailty. Her breathing was shallow, controlled but strained. Her hands trembled in a rhythm that didn't match fear. It matched pain. She lowered herself carefully into the edge of the booth, never fully relaxing against the seat. The dog remained standing between her and the open aisle, body positioned protectively. The manager stepped back, uneasy but unwilling to challenge a uniformed veteran. Minutes passed. The woman's breathing became more uneven. She pressed a hand discreetly against her side beneath her coat. The SEAL noticed. "So," he asked gently, "are you traveling?" She shook her head faintly.
No.
Another pause. Then her fingers slipped from the table's edge. The movement was small, almost invisible, but the dog reacted instantly. Its posture changed from alert to urgent. A sharp bark cut through the diner, followed by a low protective stance beside her as her body tilted. The SEAL was already moving. He caught her before she hit the floor. And in that moment, the entire diner understood something they hadn't before. She hadn't come in for warmth. She had come in because she was running out of time. The truth revealed. The booth area transformed into controlled chaos. "Call 911, someone shouted. The waitress dropped her coffee pot, porcelain shattering against tile. The manager froze before fumbling for his phone. But the SEAL didn't hesitate. He laid her gently across the booth seat, checking her pulse with trained precision.
It was weak.
Irregular. The dog stayed close, silent now, eyes locked on her face. "Ma'am," the SEAL said firmly but calmly. "Stay with me." Her eyes fluttered open briefly. There was no panic in them, only exhaustion. An ambulance siren wailed faintly in the distance, growing louder by the second. Within minutes, paramedics rushed inside, equipment in hand. One of them recognized the SEAL instantly, not by fame, but by posture. What happened? Collapse. Likely internal complication. Pulse unstable. The paramedic nodded, already assessing. Good catch. As they prepared to move her onto a stretcher, her hand reached out weakly. Not toward the SEAL.
Toward the dog.
The shepherd stepped forward carefully, lowering its head just enough for her fingers to brush its fur. The contact lasted barely a second. Yet in that second, the dog stilled completely, as if understanding something deeper than training. They lifted her onto the stretcher. As the paramedics moved her toward the exit, the diner stood silent. No whispers now. No judgment. Only the echo of how wrong they had been. Aftermath. The diner felt smaller once the ambulance doors closed. The tension that had filled the room earlier had shifted into something heavier. Regret. The manager stared at the shattered coffee pot still scattered across the floor. I thought she was, he began, then stopped. The SEAL stood by the window, watching the ambulance lights disappear down the highway. The German shepherd sat beside him, calm again but watchful. You thought she didn't belong here, the SEAL said quietly. No accusation. Just fact. The manager exhaled slowly.
Yeah.
The SEAL turned slightly. She didn't come in for charity. She came in because she knew she wasn't going to make it much further. Silence followed. Outside, snow began falling, light, almost fragile. The young mother who had pulled her child away earlier approached hesitantly. Is she going to be okay? The SEAL didn't answer immediately. I don't know, he said honestly. But she won't be alone. He looked down at the dog, who had sensed what others hadn't. Sometimes, he added, it's not about strength. It's about paying attention. The diner slowly returned to motion, but something fundamental had changed. No one looked at the door the same way again. And somewhere down the highway, in the back of an ambulance, a woman who had walked in unnoticed was finally being seen.